What's up, guys? What of course you'll be seeing today is a breakdown and review of the new bullpup carbine in Battlefield 4 that came as part of the Weapons Crate DLC called the GROZA-1. It's a brand new weapon to any Battlefield game. As usual, I'll break down the stats of the weapon and give you the best idea of range, fire mode, and attachments best suited for success when you use this weapon. So first, the stats to paint the picture of how it works. It has a max damage of 30 per round and a minimum damage of 16.7, so the drop-off is pretty significant, as you can see. The damage drop-off starts at 8 meters and ends at 52.5 meters. The fire rate of the weapon when full auto is 725 rounds per minute, and in burst mode as well. The muzzle velocity is only 400 meters per second, so that's something to note. It's quite low. The bullet drop's more intense than the gravitational constant of the Earth at 15 meters per second squared, so the drop-off is quite significant for the bullets as well, including the low muzzle velocity. It has a magazine size of 31, but it also fires a higher caliber round, which hence the higher damage model of 7.62 by 39mm round. The reload speed when it's completely empty is 3.35 seconds and 2.5 when there's a round left in the chamber. So what I did for the review, just like I did for my other reviews, is that I took the liberty of comparing the weapon to weapons that are popular in its category or similar. So I took the recoil, overall the recoil patterns of the GROZA-1 are extremely high. The vertical recoil is listed at 0.57, which is staggeringly high, and it's actually much higher than weapons similar to it, such as the ACW, which is listed at 0.41. and the AK-5C, which is listed at 0.32. The horizontal recoil, which is actually very high as well, doesn't make things better because it's listed as 0.4 to the left and 0.4 to the right, but it doesn't have a definitive direction it wants to travel when not accounting for the recoil. And again, this is higher in both directions than the AK-5C, but it's actually slightly lower than the ACWR in terms of horizontal recoil to the right at 0.45. But generally speaking, the recoil of the GROZA-1 is extremely high in basically both vertical and horizontal directions. So something to note immediately. The first shot recoil multiplier is actually listed as a manageable 2.1, which is similar to the AN-94. And the spread increase per shot is listed at 0.113, which again isn't too bad. The AK-5C beats this out in both ways, but the ACWR, something of note, is actually worse in both ways. It has a higher first shot recoil multiplier, and it increases in spread per shot worse than the GROZA-1. This is a weapon overall, though, I would say that should be used in short and maybe medium range if you're tap firing and you're skilled enough to use it, but absolutely nothing further than that. You're going to have a hard time versus other weapons anything further than slower, slight medium range encounters. The recoil is very significant, but because of the higher caliber round that it fires, it will output solid DPS in short range. It also has a slow muzzle velocity, so at range you'll experience extreme drop-off and higher time to kill. So basically, based on these stats alone, it doesn't really have a strong definitive range. It has conflicting stats. You have a higher damage model with a higher caliber round, but it has slower muzzle velocity and drop-off extremes. So you wouldn't expect it to be that way, but it is. So that's the problem I have with this weapon. I have a hard time placing a solid range other than short and maybe slight medium because of the extreme recoil associated with it. It doesn't really have a role. It really doesn't. In terms of the attachments, if you're going to use it anyway, I'd choose the red dot sight because it just happens to be my favorite and I have the most success with it. In terms of accessory, definitely use the laser sight in shorter range because you're going to be getting in close. You're going to be using it in short range, and you're going to be getting in surprise hip fire encounters. So you definitely would want that buff from the laser sight. In terms of the barrel, you only have the compensator to choose from anyway. The weapon won't have a particular direction in terms of horizontal recoil to choose. So it will reduce the overall horizontal recoil, which is 0.4 in both directions, down to 0.3 according to SimThick anyway. But it's still quite high, so I'd say use it anyway, but it's up to you. The underbarrel, again, you only have the folding grip to choose from. You'll find a reduction in terms of the first shot recoil multiplier, so it wouldn't make sense not to use it. In terms overall, though, again, like I said, this is a weapon that can be used effectively in close quarter engagements because of the extreme damage model and half decent fire rate, but nothing further than that. But this weapon has extraordinary recoil, a low muzzle velocity, and like an extreme drop off at range when you're shooting. So I would not choose this weapon over the multitude of good weapons such as the AN-94, the M416. Some people like the M16A4. So I'd go elsewhere. But if you like a challenge, go for it. Have a good one.